McLean County Schools aren't big enough to handle the growth they're seeing. They need more space. That's part of the findings from a consulting firm hired by Unit 5 schools to make the district more efficient. Taylor Fleming joins us now with what else they found. Taylor?
Tyler, those who did the study stressed that their recommendations are preliminary at this time, but they are considering calling for Carlock Elementary School to be closed, several other schools to have more classrooms, and possibly adding a new school north of Bloomington. Cropper GIS Consulting noted that many community members are in favor of keeping Carlock Elementary School open. However, they are leaning towards advising the school board that the school should be closed. Their data tells them the number of students is so small, it's getting unsustainable to maintain and staff the building.
Ultimately, it's the Board of Education's authority and decision as to what we do or don't do moving forward. No recommendations have been taken to the board yet. There's been conversations, there's been looking at data.
Carlock currently has around 93 students. In preliminary plans, the firm proposed using the building for town-related activities and community engagement events for the schools. The district is encouraging Unit 5 families and staff to fill out their online survey about the study findings. There is a public information session for the Unit 5 community on February 19th, and the consulting firm plans to present final recommendations to the Board of Education in March. Anyone can watch the previous public information sessions on the Unit 5 website. Tyler?